All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. As always, the early stages of free agency in the NBA it's hot and heavy, okay? And today has seen plenty of excitement so far, courtesy of the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, in one shocking move, the Bucks decided to release All-Star point guard Damian Lillard after two injury-filled years with the team. While in another move, Milwaukee signed center Myles Turner away from the division rival Indiana Pacers. At the end of the day, it just never came together for Dame in Milwaukee. The way that he and everybody else involved wanted things to be. I mean, you look at it, and it's one of those where I wonder if you're Milwaukee and you could have had a do over right now for that Drew Holiday trade. You know that I saw you pick up Dame. You have to wonder if the Bucks would have done it. I mean, it's one of those things. You go back to Dame's first year with Milwaukee, three different head coaches, and of course, him being injured during their postseason series loss last year in the first round to Indiana, and then of course Dame attempting to play through that leg injury in the playoffs this season against Indiana, which led to him rupturing his Achilles. And like I said, would Milwaukee have done it over with the Drew Holiday trade? I will tell you like this. You go back. I was one of the people who was not on board with this trade. I didn't see Dame fitting in with Milwaukee. That's just number one in my opinion. Number two, I feel like Drew Holiday at the time fit this team more as a point guard than Damian Lillard did. And I truly feel that the Drew Holiday for Dame trade was just Milwaukee simply pushing the panic button after they lost in the first round that year to the Miami Heat. And of course, trading Drew Holiday for Dame wasn't the only move that Milwaukee did. Of course, after multiple years there, they decided to fire head coach Mike Budenholzer. And of course, things simply ain't been right ever since. But nonetheless, you look at this and you ask yourself, what does cutting Dame mean for Milwaukee? So they still owe him about $113 million, which was supposed to be paid over the next 2 years. But of course, through a loophole in the CBA, Milwaukee has the ability to stretch that out for 5 years. So basically, they're going to pay Dame about $22.5 million for each of the next 5 years. And they were able to do so as long as they released him before August 29th, which of course they clearly did. And on the flip side, if you were Dame Lillard, because this appeared to be a mutual thing, you can now continue to rehab after you had your Achilles surgery this past May. And you got an opportunity to pick your spot, and you could do this at your own pace. So basically, Dame's going to rehab. He's going to take his time to get healthy. He'll probably be back, somewhat in March or April, probably before that. But I think like once he gets his sea legs under him, but nonetheless, he's going to have the opportunity to pick his spot and see where he wants to go. He's going to sit back and be a spectator, just like the rest of us, for the upcoming NBA season and see where he fits in the best. And if you are a team that is interested in signing Damian Lillard, guess what? It's probably not going to cost you a lot because we're talking about a veteran player at this point who's 34, is going to be 35 soon. And you know what? He's coming off of a severe injury. So it's one of those for me. You're going to get him on the cheap. He's going to be ready to contribute. And let's see where he fits in. But of course, it's been a bevy of moves. It's been a bevy of guys leaving and coming in to Milwaukee over the last couple of days. We saw Brook Lopez leave in free agency to basically go home as he signed with the Los Angeles Clippers. But then today, Milwaukee pulled off another shocker when they signed center Myles Turner away from the Pacers. And of course, what does Myles Turner give Milwaukee? It gives them another big to play alongside Giannis. If you think about Brook Lopez, once upon a time he was a back to the basket big, and as his career has continued, he's gotten away from that. He's more of a perimeter player. Myles Turner can knock down the outside shot. Myles Turner can also clean up on the boards. He can also defend, and it's going to be interesting to see how he plays off of one Giannis Antetokounmpo. We also saw Milwaukee bring back Kevin Porter Jr., Bobby Portis, Gary Harris, and they also signed Torian Prince. So there's going to be a lot of size for Milwaukee. They also traded Pat Connaughton to the Charlotte Hornets. So when it's all said and done, all of these moves that I'm talking about, will they be enough to keep Giannis happy? Word on the street is that Giannis was not pleased with Milwaukee deciding to part with Dame. I'm not sure how true that is, but nonetheless, it's the word on the street. So we got to see how it is. And you're hearing reports that Giannis is watching what the Bucks do this offseason. I'll tell you like this. In my opinion, Milwaukee got a little bit more athletic in their front court than they were previously. On top of that, I still feel that the Bucks need themselves another ball handler. So let's see how that comes into play. But nonetheless, this is going to add a new wrinkle to the Pacers rivalry between the Bucks because due to the fact that Myles Turner is now in Milwaukee. Because if you've watched these two teams play over the last couple of years, you know that there is simply no love lost between these two division rivals, and it showed out, especially in the playoffs in each of the last 2 years when Milwaukee was sent home by Indiana. It's very interesting because it's this came together very quickly because the reports are that Myles Turner wanted to stay in Indiana after their run to the finals. Okay, but Indiana was reluctant to exceed the luxury tax in order to pay Myles Turner, especially after the Achilles injury to Tyrese Halliburton in the finals. And it's you can't go back and play the woulda, coulda, shoulda game. All right, but nonetheless, you look at it and you're like, wow, Indiana was so close to that championship. And now they're going to have to go into next season without Tyrese Halliburton. And now, of course, without Myles Turner. I think the Pacers organization will wish Myles Turner nothing but the best. I want to see how the fans react to it. Just due to the fact that he went to a rival and a division rival at that. But the thing is this. Something tells me that Indiana is going to find a way to come out of this smelling like a rose. Because if you look at their front office and how they have done business over the years, they've always been able to, roll with the punches, if you will. They're one of the smaller market teams in the NBA. They know that they're not going to lure free agents here, this, that, and the third. And they're going to find a way to piece this together. And I think that they know that they have their work cut out for them now without Tyrese Halliburton. And now, of course, they're going to have to do it without Myles Turner. But I'm looking at this and I ask myself, will all parties involved be happy with these moves 6 months from now? Again, like I've been saying for quite some time, that additional tax apron was going to be a game changer. And here in the early stages of free agency this year in the NBA, we are seeing it in full effect. You just pick your team around the NBA and you could just look at it. All right, but nonetheless, getting back to the Bucks, they were able to get off of a big contract in that of Dame Lillard. Okay, and they're in the mode of trying to keep their superstar player in Giannis happy. You bring back Bobby Portis. You bring in Myles Turner. So basically, you swap out Myles Turner for Brook Lopez. Okay, you bring back um, Kevin Porter, or Bobby, like I said, Bobby Portis, and then you bring in Gary Harris, or resign Gary Harris rather, and bring back Tori, or bring in Torian Prince. So I'm looking at this Bucks team, and I think it could be very interesting together if this team is given time to gel. And I think the biggest thing for this Bucks organization is they need to do something which they have not done for several years. which is to exercise patience. But of course, you have a star player like Giannis who's in the prime of his career. He already has one championship and he wants to get that taste back again. And for Milwaukee, unfortunately, like I said before, it's been a little bit of hard luck in the postseason. You go back to 2022, Chris Middleton got hurt in the postseason. Then it was Giannis in 2023. Then it was Dame in each of the last 2 years. And when you add it all up, Milwaukee has three consecutive exits in the first round on their resume. But nonetheless, I do like these moves by Milwaukee. I'm interested to see where Dame ends up at some point next season. It's going to be like a trade, but he's going to be a trade on the cheap, in my opinion, when he does find a new basketball home. And then, of course, the Indiana Pacers. How do they get off of losing Myles Turner after they, inadvertently lost Tyrese Halliburton for the upcoming season? But nonetheless, this is the way that things are playing right now in the new NBA. And you could thank that additional tax apron for that. So let's see where this ball continues to bounce here in what is going to be a fast, furious, and electric free agency in the NBA. Some interesting moves have already been made, and I'm sitting down and I got my popcorn ready because I know that there are more interesting moves coming around the bend. But nonetheless, Myles Turner is a Milwaukee Buck. Dame Lillard is not. And let's see what's next for the Pacers. Let's see what's next for the Bucks, and let's see how all of these squads go forward in the next season. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw on this podcast, you know what to do. Please feel free to hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Like I always say, it is greatly appreciated. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports. And if you give me the follow, I'll give you that follow right back. The same can be said for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you're on Facebook, you can check us out at the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports debating and sports groups going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.